All right, everybody, it is Friday, and you know what that means. It is time for the Big Six Picks. And this week, listen, it's college football playoffs this weekend. I think you might know who the guest is. Anytime we got crazy Tennessee action going on, I think you guys are going to know who the guest is. Now, if you've been following us every Wednesday on All Right Bet, been handing out winners like candy. I think I'm 5-1 in bowl games right now, guys. That coupled with the NFL college football championship weekend combination in the last couple of weeks, I'm telling you right now, you guys have been cashing in big dough on the show. So let's get to it tonight on the Big Six Picks with my guest. You know who he is. Let's bring him in really quickly. It's Dunbar Dicks. Tennessee superfan. Now,
yeah,
Dunbar, where are you? Where are you?
Oh, I'm at Ohio Stadium right now. You know, Tennessee's bought out more tickets on StubHub than the Ohio fans. Tennessee fans are changing their profile photos on StubHub to look like Ohio State fans, so that the Ohio fans will sell them the tickets. We're turning it orange, baby.
Oh, man, look at that, man. Look at now. I know that's Rocky Top in the background, but we will pretend it is an oranged out Ohio State, man. This is going to be a lot of fun. Louis, let's get to it. Start the show here, buddy. But you know, we are brought to you this week by
We Cuttin loose.
Touchdown. Ready? College football is now B1G versus SEC. Down. If you ain't listening to All Right Bet with me and Andy St. Clair, you're throwing away money. Ready? All Lions fans drinking that Kool-Aid. Super Bowl. Hey, disagree with me or don't. That's how it works. Oh, my God. All right. That is how it works. Nice intro there. We're cutting loose with Dunbar Dicks. It's the playoffs here. Listen, fill me in on this story now. Were you making jokes? Are you serious? They bought more tickets than Ohio State?
No. The Vols fans have bought 40% more tickets than Ohio State fans on the resale market.
No
so
way.
On StubHub, on FanGeek, and then there's subreddits on the Vols subreddit. They're telling people how to get the tickets. How to get tickets bought from. So they're telling people to change their profile photo so they look like Ohio State fans or are Ohio, Ohio or something.
I love it. I fucking love college football fans, man. That is awesome. Do they have the proper cold gear? No, they do a lot of hunting down there. They'll have their orange hunting jackets and they'll be all set for the game.
It's the mountains, man. Tennessee's in a high elevation. It gets cold.
Yeah.
So, I think people think that for whatever reason they're not going to be a decent cold weather team, but it gets cold in Tennessee. It snows there. We're going there for Christmas. I'll be in Knoxville for Christmas.
Oh, I hope it's going to be a good one for you after this weekend, brother.
We're hoping. We'll talk about it when we talk about.
Yes, we will.
I'm optimistic.
We would jump into that when we get to the Big Six Picks for sure. I'm thinking your lid, brother. What is the dog's name again? I forget. Smokey or something?
Oh, baby, that's Smokey right there.
That's what it is. I knew it. That's Smokey. I've been to Neyland Stadium.
Listen, Mikey, thank you for the hat. I'm going to say this. I was walking with the dogs in this hat. I'd worn it maybe three times. Maybe the fifth time I've worn this hat. I love this hat. I walk in with the dogs. I come back into the apartment. I look at myself in the mirror. I live in Los Angeles. I look at myself in the mirror, and there's a little bird poop on the brim of this hat. Emergency surgery to get this hat nice and clean. It doesn't look too bad, but there was like a little bird poop.
No.
Oh, I was so upset.
Oh, man. Well, you can't see it on film. That is a sharp hat, though, man. I do love that hat. I love the mascot, man. It is looking good. All right, we are going to get to the Big Six Picks, and we're going to talk some Tennessee, and we're going to carve out some time for that. But we got to get the quick hits, and before we get to quick hits, you know it is time for our friend Gordon Butterfield on What Just Happened. Now, for everybody new coming in from Cutting Loose here, Gordon Butterfield is a Hall of Fame minor league baseball announcer, and he gets on board with whoever wants an ad from us. He gets with us. We pick up a little video offline, a little fail video, and Gordon's on the call like he's in the booth at a baseball game. Take it away, Gordon Butterfield.
What just happened? What just happened is brought to you by the RustBeltClub.com. What just happened? Young Cody Pembroke feeling rizzy and drippy in that Toyota Prius. Snake eyes! Caught him slipping and he lost it all. Oh my, let's see where Window Jack got the jump on Froggy Fresh. It looks like Cody's got some time to kill while he waits on those waves to come in. So he's counting up a boatload of cash. Looks like about $31 bills. Oh, that won't last you 20 minutes in the club, young man. I can see you've got a XXX watch, but you sure don't know what time it is. But at least he's being safe. That seatbelt kept him right in place. Oh, what just happened?
Oh man, Gordon is not a fan of Cody and that watch. I'm telling you.
No, doesn't like it at all.
He did not like Cody one bit, man. Oh my goodness. Well, that's it. That's Gordon Butterfield, man. He is a national treasure. Let's get to some quick hits. Now, Andy is not with us tonight, Dunbar, but you also spent quite a bit of time in Chicago, lived in Chicago for quite a while.
Oh, yeah.
Adopted the Cubs, I would assume, as a baseball team you love and follow.
I love the Cubs. Love the Cubs.
Love the Cubbies. So I'm not sure if you've seen or not, but Sammy Sosa has written a letter to the Cubs. Now, I'm going to put the letter up here and read it for everybody because we get a lot more audio listeners, and I want them to be able to follow along here. But maybe you can help me out before I jump into this. Was there some kind of like fallout between Sammy Sosa and Cubs fans? I know Major League Baseball and the steroid thing, but were the Cub fans and him on a fallout?
No, and I'm a little confused by this too, because I feel like it's an association with some invite to the Cubs like awards thing or some banquet event. I have no idea.
Okay, maybe it's a thing where they hadn't been inviting him to all that stuff because of the news media and like the kind of what would be brought upon them if they invited Sammy to reward him for his accolade. It's one of those things where they just didn't want him around at those things, maybe. And now he's going to get to come. Okay. Well, that makes a little sense. Let's get to the letter here now. Here's Sammy says, I left it all in the field for the Cubs and Cub fans because I wanted to win and make the fans happy. I love to see the fans at Wrigley Field in the right field bleachers every home game. I understand why some players in my era don't always get recognition for our stats that we deserve. He goes on to say, yeah, we accomplished great things as a team when I was there at the Cubs. I worked extremely hard in the batting cage to become a great hitter. Cubs fans are the best fans in the world. I hope that the Cub fans and I can all come together and move forward. I can't wait to change the past and get back on board with Cubby fans. I mean, listen, I didn't know there was any kind of discord between Cubs fans and Sammy Sosa.
Yeah. I think it's like he just got weird. You know, he just got weird and white. He turned white.
Yeah, I don't,
Can
that's
I say
one of those
that?
things. You can, if you guys have seen the pictures, you know what Dunbar's talking about. And that's one of those things where the internet and the media can pile on that kind of thing. And I'm kind of like, but I don't know. He may have some kind of skin disease or something that I don't
exactly
know. You know what I mean?
I think he just got like a little weird and reclusive, and I don't know. I mean, maybe he feels like he's not remembered because the 2016 team kind of eclipsed, what they did in that early era. I don't understand why there would be an issue with Sammy Sosa as a Cubs fan. Like I remember I was at Wrigley, during that playoff run, that really awesome playoff run. I think he had like 4 home runs in one of the games or something crazy like that. It was amazing. I mean, look, I think what he's saying is like, I understand why we don't get recognition for the thing that we deserve. Makes me think,
He did say that.
Do you understand?
I think he does. He owned it. He said, look, he says right in the letter, like, I understand why the guys in my generation don't get the accolades that would be deserved with those kind of numbers. I get the temperature of the room. Here, I'm going to defend Sammy Sosa for a minute, like I always have. And if you guys have listened to this show for years now, you know where I stand on this thing. I don't have a problem with Sammy Sosa and the steroids and the money he made. I don't. I think all the guys that were involved in the steroid stuff should not be put into the Hall of Fame while they're alive. I think they should Pete Rose them, make it possible. They should be in, but just make it possible. Make it, hey, you're not getting in while you're alive. That's your punishment. Fine. Whatever. And whether they should be punished or not, I'm not getting down that road. That's not what I'm talking about. But for everybody else that was involved in that, you could point the finger to personal gain. Barry Bonds, Mark McGwire, it was personal gain. Like, it was all about like them and their celebrity and their numbers and their legacy. And I always cut Sammy Sosa a lot of slack because that dude was taking all his money and pouring almost all pouring a ton of it back into his poor community back home, which I believe is Puerto Rico. Now it's not the Dominican. I think he's from Puerto Rico. One of the two, but extremely poor place where he came from. And he went back there and took that money and built baseball facilities for these kids, training facilities for these kids, schools. Like, this guy poured the money he made off of that into this poor community to help other people out. And to that point, I'm like, I'm fine with it. I'm fine with it.
Yeah, look, I don't understand why people are weird about Sammy Sosa or have any issues with Sammy Sosa other than obviously using steroids. But I'm an asterisk guy. I'm like, let these guys in. Maybe don't invite them to the ceremony, but let them into the Hall of Fame. Put a little asterisk next to it. I didn't feel like Pete Rose should have been excluded from the Hall of Fame. I feel like that was somewhat punitive to a certain degree. I get it.
You know where I'm at on that. I agreed with it.
Yeah.
But
I don't. I think that at a certain point, not getting in that, like, you could have put him in the Hall of Fame in 2010, and the point would have been made with Pete Rose. You know what I mean? I just think that it's obviously gambling in sports that you're playing in is not a good thing, but like cheating and baseball go hand in hand. It is like kind of part of the sport. There are guys in the Hall of Fame currently, legends in the Ty Cobb, notorious racist, notorious cheater, like played baseball. And there are guys in the Hall of Fame currently that are not great guys, and I don't understand. I don't understand that why we can't come to a solution that Mark McGwire and Sammy Sosa in that home run race was one of the most exhilarating things. They saved
baseball. The greed of baseball had made it that, look, we skipped the World Series because you guys held out over money. And like, that was, man, baseball was bad. If you remember back then, like, people quit watching and were seriously pissed off.
The strike pissed off a lot of people, and then it never really recovered from that.
No.
And I think the other part of it too is that, like, I'm just kind of, again, like with you, like, confused why the Cubs would have an issue celebrating Sammy Sosa as, like, literally, who can you name? I don't know. Even some of the guys from, Anthony Rizzo and I don't think any of those guys that won in 2016 eclipse the name recognition.
They're not Cub greats. They'll be remembered as World Series winners. They did a great thing in Cubs uniforms, but those guys won't go down as the greatest guys to ever don that uniform. They won't be up there with the Hawk. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Kerry Wood, Sammy Sosa, those are Cub greats. They're Cub greats.
Listen, maybe some names are escaping me right now, like maybe Hack Wilson or something, but like, tell me I'm wrong, steroids aside, Sammy Sosa may be the greatest Cub ever.
He's certainly the greatest. He's certainly the greatest Cub hitter ever.
Sure. You know what I mean? Like, Sandberg's great. I loved Sandberg, but I mean, God, Sosa was crushing. I liked Sammy, especially when I learned his story and what he was doing with the money. I was like, keep shooting up, bro.
I think the other thing about Sammy Sosa that I like to think about is, like, one of the things, like that 2016 team, if you put somebody like Sammy Sosa on that team, they could have probably won one, maybe two more World Series. Like, he solved so many issues for, their bats were so anemic from time to time. They were so streaky, and he was such a great hitter. I went to go see the first Cubs game I went to see in Chicago when I first moved to Chicago. I saw Sammy Sosa. I think he had like 5 home runs. It was crazy.
Yeah, I mean, listen, there's no way you can tell me he's not one of the greatest home run hitters to ever play baseball. If you're one of these guys that is a defender of these guys, especially Barry Bonds, and will tell me, listen, Barry Bonds was going to be in the Hall of Fame anyway until he did it. Barry Bonds, he's such a great home run hitter. He is. But you can't say that and then say, but Sosa, I don't know. If he wouldn't have done the steroids, you can't say that. You're going to defend one guy and then not. Sammy Sosa, one of the greatest home run hitters ever. Did he do it with steroids? Yes. Yes. Do I think that means he shouldn't get the same accolades as someone who didn't? I do. I do think that. But it doesn't change the fact that he's one of the greatest home run hitters, man.
Sure. I just think you have so many. It's an epidemic of steroids in the sport, and you have so many big name players that are ostracized from the sport that could be ambassadors for your sport today.
Yeah.
That aren't even like featured. Think about when you're promoting your sport, you don't even feature them. Like Roger Clemens, Mark McGwire, Mike Piazza. Like you got guys that
I personally think there is way more. I think we would, I don't know how to say this, but I guess what I'm trying to say is more people spend time defending these steroid guys and saying they should be in the Hall of Fame than defending guys who aren't in the Hall of Fame just because the baseball writers didn't like them. Like Jack Morris having to wait so long was just because he told the writers to piss off when they came into the locker rooms. He didn't like them, so they didn't put him in. A guy like Lou Whitaker not being in the Hall of Fame because he's a Jehovah's Witness, so they didn't put him in the Hall of Fame. And then you got like Gary Sheffield. Gary Sheffield's a guy that hit 5 home runs, and because there's whispers of steroids, he never got nailed with any steroids, and he hit 502. He didn't hit 755. Like Gary Sheffield's another guy, but he was a notorious, did not like reporters. You know what I mean? And got into it with them all the time. He was a little bit of a standoffish guy, and they didn't like him, so they don't put him in.
Yeah.
I think we should be spending more time on those guys.
Yeah, I agree. I feel like the Hall of Fame is always like a sticky wicket in terms of like it's a popularity contest.
Yeah, I hate those guys. All right, man. Let's move on because it is seriously football season here, right? All right, Dunbar. These ABC detective shows have gone too far. They have jumped the shark. Have you seen this latest week's episode? And I'm trying to get this right here as I check this out. This week's episode of Will Trent, the detective show on ABC. Apparently, this week he's going to be going undercover as the starting quarterback for the New Orleans Saints. There's a picture of it right there. What? That's great.
Amazing.
You see this thing here?
Amazing.
No, I'm just kidding. That is Jake Hafner. He is the starting quarterback for the Saints. But I'm going to put this back up. And if you're listening, you better get over to Kuttin Loose and see this picture because it's hilarious. This picture right here, that right there, that is Jake Hafner. He is the starting quarterback. What is that picture?
Why did they pick that photo?
Why did they do that photo show that looked like, I think it looks like an episode of a detective show and he's undercover. So what is that? What is that?
I don't know. Is Derek Carr gonna like Nancy Kerrigan him so he can go out there on a bum fucking ankle?
I saw this picture and I went, what in the hell is that? Oh my God, it's terrible. All right, let's talk a little bit about the fair catch field goal. Now, I know you guys all saw this Denver Broncos, Los Angeles Chargers game this weekend, and you may have saw the clip that the Chargers kicked a field goal immediately following a fair catch. And you're going, what is that? Okay, so here's what happened with that. Apparently, there's a rule in the NFL that the Chargers were aware of, and after you receive a fair catch on a punt, you can elect to kick an uncontested field goal immediately following that fair catch. So on first down, you can elect to kick an uncontested field goal, meaning they can't come after it, right? So it would make sense that like that probably will never happen. Where would you ever catch a fair close enough to kick a field goal? Well, it happened in this game. Here it is. There you go, right? Look at they're kicking this thing from 57 yards. It made a fair catch inside the 50. It's right before the half. Jim Harbaugh knows the rule. He sends the kicking team out there, and they kick a field goal immediately following the fair catch. I mean, that's crazy. That's crazy, right?
I fucking love this rule. I think it's great. If you punt the ball in between and you can't get it over the 50-yard line,
if you can't get it over across the 50, that's ridiculous, man.
Yeah. I wonder what the parameters are. Like, is that an easier kick? I know it's contested, but is that an easier kick? Like, how much range for the field goal kicker is increased by having it kicked like that off a tee.
Oh, a ton, because you can generate more power. I'm very familiar with special teams. You can generate a lot more distance by having a low trajectory, but you cannot have a low trajectory when you're being rushed. When they're pushing that line at you, you have to raise your trajectory to get it over that line. So when he gets to kick it from, that's why, like, in warmups, when it's so disingenuous and it drives me nuts, but the average fan probably doesn't know. During warmups, when they're talking before the game and they're down there going, oh, they're ready to kick tonight. And Harrison Butker's in warmups was hitting from 68 yards easily. Well, yeah, no one's contesting it. He's down there kicking kickoffs. You know what I mean? So absolutely. Anytime you can fair catch it around the 50, which just never happens. These guys can boom it. So
yeah,
it was an anomaly. I think they said it hadn't happened since like the Paul Hornung did it with the Green Bay Packers in the 60s or something.
I love it's like a Harbaugh. It's like a total weird Harbaugh, you know, like he pulled some book with dust on it off of the shelf. And
yeah,
you know,
it's fantastic.
With reading glasses.
The only thing here is, though, a lot of people are like, well, why wouldn't you just do it all the time? Because understand, you are kicking a field goal, which means it is change of possession. You miss, they get the ball at the 50. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
If your kicker is short, if you watch the video there, if they're setting up for a return, if he kicks it short, they're going to run it back just like a kickoff. So it's basically a kickoff. Rule-wise, it's a kickoff unless he puts it through the uprights. If he misses it, they get the ball at the 50. And if they catch it, they can run it back. So that's kind of why you might not try it. But in this day and age, uncontested, these kickers are gold from 58, 59. You know what I mean? So it was pretty fun.
Also, like, how many of those punts are going to be not within the range that you needed to be in are going to be fair catch? Like most of them, if you get to that point, there's been a return. So it's a very rare circumstance, but I don't mind it.
You watch these guys kick it out of their own end zone all the time in the NFL, Dunbar, and they're kicking it to the other 40 every damn time, maybe even further. You know what I mean? Like every time. So he must have just shanked it. It's a real oddity because if you shank it, it normally goes left to right and out of bounds. You know what I mean? It's very odd that you would have kicked a very good kick that was fair catchable that short.
Maybe he got under it too much and just boomed it up.
Yeah, it was the perfect storm of accidents by the Broncos. Okay, real quickly, let's end quick hits here with a little discussion. What do you think the difference is between a sport and a competition?
I don't know. I mean, I think a sport is there's a score. Somebody wins and somebody loses, and it's finite. It has an ending, you know?
Yeah, there's a lot of things nowadays that we're calling sports that I'm like, no, that's a competition. So for me, it's like anything that's judged, that's a competition. If it's completely decided by a judge, that's a competition. Like I would say gymnastics, diving, these are all competitions. Now people get shitty with me about that. And they were like, oh, so you don't think those are athletes? I never said that. They're phenomenal athletes. They're phenomenal athletes competing in a competition. It's not a sport. Like you said, a sport has some kind of finite ending of like innings or a clock, time, score, and some way you win. Like tennis doesn't have a clock or innings, it has sets, but you win by scoring more than the other person. You know what I mean? So anything that is judged, and then I always get this one too. Are you about to say boxing?
Yeah, I was about to say boxing.
I knew you were. I knew it was coming. But with boxing, I will include that as a sport because you have a chance to win that before it gets to the judges. The judges are just deciding if you don't win. It's like there's no way to have extra innings in a boxing match. To me, that's the difference. I don't know if there's a better way to say that, but I bring it up for a reason.
Okay.
I bring it up for a reason. We are now like, there are things on ESPN all the time now that we're considering sports like spelling bees and things that are on a sports network that are ridiculous. And now bird watching is now being called the sport because they're getting very competitive about who has actually seen the most real breeds. I don't really follow this thing, but apparently some guy has seen like 685 of the 712 possible birds you could ever see. Anyway, there's these competitions and they have them all the time. And they're saying that this is a sport now. I disagree. I don't think this is a sport, but I'm going to show you a video, Dunbar, of a lady that may be changing my mind. She may be changing my mind. Watch her do bird watching. Now, these birds are eating off of her face. She has a bowl on her face with sunglasses, and these birds are coming into the bowl and just, they're literally eating the seeds off her face. She's camouflaged sunglasses, and the birds are right in her face.
Wouldn't you be worried about bird flu?
You should be. They just got a guy in Louisiana's got it, I heard.
California, man, people drinking raw milk, getting bird flu.
Ridiculous. I just saw the other day H5N1, a serious case in Louisiana where the guy's probably going to die.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
Ugh.
It's getting crazy, man. It's getting crazy. It always seems to happen in places where you don't know what people are eating. Like over in China and like some back streamy wood warehouse, they're eating bats or something. The bayou, you know what these people are eating. You don't know what these people are eating.
Fucking pig, 3-day-old roadkill.
Yeah, you know what I mean? I want to put this bird video up one more time though, because I did make a fun observation here. Now watch the birds. Every single one of these birds that comes in here, they're going to show her their ass. Every one of them that gets on, gets on the bowl here, it's looking around, sees her, going to turn around and show his ass. This one right here, going to turn around, ass. This one right here, do the same thing before he leaves. You're going to turn around and give her the butthole. He's like, nah, I'm not buying this. Take a look at this. Hey, take a look at this. Sure, what? And be out of there. What? Out of there. I just thought, I thought that was hilarious. I thought that was hilarious. Every bird.
Maybe that's why she does it that way.
Might be. They might be checking out some stuff like that, man. I don't know. But maybe bird watching is a sport. What bird butt watching?
How long do you have to sit there for that to happen?
I don't know. I don't know.
That's got to be.
I think
20 minutes.
I think it puts to bed that age-old wives' tale we were told as kids that like you can't get near a bird nest because birds can smell people and then they'll abandon the eggs or something. They would have to smell her.
Yeah, that's clearly bullshit.
Yeah, that is a bowl full of seed and bird butts, man. All right, let's move on. Let's move on. Let's get to my favorite segment here.
All right, everyone, time to do me a favor and knock it off.
We are going to start with another playoff team from this week. We are going to go to listen, they call it the great state of Ohio. There's nothing great about it. I've been through it a lot. I've driven through it a lot. There's nothing great about it. It's just the state. It's just a state. But in the state of Ohio, here we go. This Representative John Williams, I'm proud to introduce the OHIO Sportsmanship Act that will make planting a flag at midfield a felony in the state of Ohio. This kind of behavior incites brawls and endangers law enforcement and blah, 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 blah. This guy is in the state legislation, has passed a bill to make it a felony to plant a flag at the 50-yard line. Dunbar, go.
How about you win the game? How about you win the game and stop it from happening?
You know, I mean,
oh my God.
It's like the dude, you know, you catch some guy catches somebody sleeping with his wife and he shoots him, and your argument's gonna be, hey, you know what? He shouldn't have slept with his wife. He shouldn't go to jail. And you just can't go around doing that kind of stuff. You don't get to just do that. Michigan planted the flag. You didn't see any of that? Michigan planted the flag.
Yeah.
And Ohio State dudes came out there and started a brawl. A lot of them got mopped up too. Like Michigan was mopping
Here's
them up.
what I'm excited about. Ohio State is in its head. You know, they think they're a big bad. They think they're a major program. I'm going to go out on a limb and say something here. They're fragile. Ohio State has a fragile psyche. And what they know is now that there's a 12-team playoff, they actually got to play some real fucking programs.
We're going to see. We're going to see.
This is my thing about it. Ohio State, how many national championships have they won in the last 20 years?
3, maybe 2 or 3.
3. Yeah.
Is it 3?
So, yeah. So I'm interested to see how well they're going to do in this up and coming game. And, your boys in blue did a really nice job kind of getting into their heads a little bit. And now they're passing laws to stop people from showing them out.
You didn't see this thing?
I didn't see
All
it.
right. Well, when
I
we
have
get
a
off
2-year-old that has 2 ear infections.
Okay. All right. This one I'm going to tell you. When we get off here, you have to go Google it because it's one of the greatest sports videos of the last 25 years. While the flag is being planted behind him, I can't remember the name of the player. They're interviewing a player from Michigan. It's escaping me right now. They're interviewing a player from Michigan, and behind him, the melee is breaking out about the flag planting, and they're interviewing him. And at the same time, he's saying, yeah, man, I think it's unfortunate. This is bad for college football, the way they're acting. This is bad for that college football, and it's bad for competition. Everybody wants to be real tough when the game is over, and y'all want to fight when the game is over. Y'all should have played better and won the game. I'm like, oh my God, it's happening right behind him. It's the greatest video in a long time, man.
It's amazing. Yeah, that's great. I love it. I'm not an Ohio State fan. I do like Columbus, Ohio. Columbus, Ohio is kind of a nice town. It's good during Christmas too. I'm sure it's beautiful over there. But
Columbus, a lot of people don't know. Columbus, I think, is like the 9th or 10th largest city in the country. Like it's huge.
Yeah, it's huge.
Yeah,
and it's beautiful. It's beautiful.
People don't know that. I will say this. My biggest problem with this law is you bunch of crybabies. Like we're demonizing the fact that they planted a flag. You started a fight, and the whole defense is, well, if they wouldn't have done that, you incited violence. Now we're justifying violence because it was incited by a flag.
And it's a felony. What are you going to put? Were you going to put the college kid in jail?
Yeah, this is my best point about this, though, is they hurried up and passed this law right now, and they don't even have to worry about this happening for another 2 years. The next year's game is in Ann Arbor. They're getting ready to lose again 2 years from now, and somebody to plant that flag. They're trying to get ahead of it. You don't have to worry about this for 2 years. You passed the bill immediately. They were like, nah, 2 years are going to do it again. Get this thing done.
Fragile, man. Fragile. How fragile does Ohio State have to be? If you were
all right, everyone, time to do me a favor and knock it off.
Ridiculous, man. All right, let's jump to a topic that the two of us are in agreement on a lot. NIL. This NIL, I hate it. I'm gonna shit on this thing as much as I can, as long as I can. Always first leading with, I don't blame the kids for none of it. Take all the money you can get. I don't blame these kids. We cannot blame these kids one bit for any of this, because the adults, the NCAA and college football, have gotten together to decide we don't have to give up a penny, not a penny. Everyone else can pay these kids, and we're not going to give up a penny. Now, this got me going this week. Take a look at this from the Paul Feinbaum show. After Alabama narrowly missed the college football playoff in Coach Caleb DeBoer's first season, athletic director Greg Byrne told fans in a letter on Twitter on Wednesday that now is time for action, and time is now time for Bama Nation to fight back. Although we have been competitive from the NIL standpoint, blah, blah, blah. He goes on to explain, we need more money. Let's go. Wow. Let's fight back against college football in the playoffs by buying better players. And he's asking you to do it.
How the mighty have fallen. The program that was the best at buying players. Now.
I mean, listen, I mean, I get the joke there, but I honestly think that it wasn't a lot of it going on while Saban was there. I really do think a lot of it was, you want to go play in the NFL, you better come here. You know what I mean? But
yeah, I mean, look, like if you are Alabama and you've won 9 championships in 15 years or whatever crazy number it is. I'm not a stats guy. I don't remember.
They're definitely all these schools were paying players.
Yeah.
My bigger point here isn't like I do love Caleb DeBoer. I've heard personal stories about him from guys I know that know him personally, that he's awesome. I love him. I'm rooting for him down at Alabama. But for that AD to come out and beg everybody, now's the time for us to fight back. and to start donating to the NIL so we can get some better players. This is the most moronic thing in college football, Dunbar. If you're donating money to any NIL, you're an idiot. You're an idiot.
So what bothers you more about the NIL? I'm just curious. What bothers you more about the NIL? Is it the whole scheme with the transfer portal, or is it just that boosters are now allowed to pay players to attend? Because as a Tennessee fan, I should be pro NIL, but I think that it is I think that there's a compromise to be made with the system. Like, I do think players should get some type of compensation outside of just an education for the amount of money they're bringing to their schools. But
100%.
But yeah, it's like, to me, it is such a mess. It is such a total, it's like the Wild West.
It's absolutely a complete mess because there's no rules to it. And let's bounce back to what you said about the boosters. This is why I'm saying you're an idiot if you're donating to NIL, because this is not about the boosters and the millionaires buying players anymore. This has now gone to, hey, donate $20, donate $15, donate $25. This is now grassroots. And the the millionaires are now being like, we don't have to put our money up either. Because here's what's happening. The fans are going to get together and chip in $25, $30, $50, $100, $1,000. The fans are going to get together and pay these players. And then they're going to turn around and pay to buy tickets to watch the players that they paid for in the games. And then when they raise enough money to get good players to play in these games, those ticket prices are going to be raised and you're going to pay more to see the players that you bought.
It's total greed.
It's ridiculous.
And a lot of people are making money off of this, including the players, which should get paid. But the schools that rake in a ton of cash. And most of these schools are state schools, mind you. These schools are getting money from taxpayers already. And they're raking in money as well from the athletic programs.
What? Could you imagine like donating money to Ford to make better cars and then buying the cars yourself after donating them the money to pay the employees? You imagine being like, I love Ford so much, I'm going to donate $1,000 a month to Ford because I love Ford. And then I'm going to go and buy a Ford. And then Ford's going to raise the price on that truck for me. And the whole time I'm paying the workers and these people are sitting at home collecting all the money. Are you kidding me? That's what's happening.
Yeah, it's crazy. I mean, but I don't think there's the appetite at all within the system to put caps on it or put, I don't want to get into politics, but there's like a sort of dogmatic open market quality to this. And it's making it untenable. Like Bill Belichick. I didn't even think Bill Belichick would even bother trying to recruit a player. You think Bill Belichick is going to go talk to a room full of boosters or go on X and ask people to give money to their NIL funds so they can
that's
bring
already
in
his contract.
Players?
That's in his contract that he will not have anything to do with any of the NIL money. You people will handle that, and I will coach the team. It's like he's treating it like the pros. You got a front office, you got money. I don't talk contracts. I don't talk contracts.
Good luck, Bill.
Well, why wouldn't these coaches want to do that? I mean, I think you're going to see more coaches going back to college now because the salaries for these coaches are now going to go through the roof. It's going to be more lucrative to coach in college. Bill Belichick is the first one to do it. It's going to become more lucrative than an NFL job to do because you're going to have unlimited funds can be donated to pay you. And you are now not going to have to worry about the things that used to keep these good coaches from going to college, which was the year-round recruiting. You'd rather be in the NFL where the draft happens and they bring the players in. Now the NIL people, you bring me all the 5 stars. I don't have to do shit and I'm getting paid more.
But it's going to kill the college football game
for sure
to a certain degree in terms of its allegiance to the university system. Like there's a future where Alabama and Tennessee become separate entities divorced from the universities because it's just another farm team system. And there's something, it just feels like it's devolving. It's like breaking down into you're like making college football a commodity that can be bought and sold that makes it lesser than what it actually is, which is, college football is a vibe. It's an experience. It is tied to the university. It's part of the culture of the school. It's something that people are proud of. Like, there's so many great things about college football that don't have anything to do with the business of college football. And I feel like my problem with the way the NIL is set up is it seems to be slowly, maybe not slowly, maybe quite rapidly, stripping out a lot of those things away from these programs that make you excited about it. I love the 12-team playoff. I know there are people who don't like it. I think it's freaking great. I think it's great that Tennessee and Alabama and, Penn State and SMU and Indiana and all of these teams were playing for a spot till the very end. Even when Tennessee was playing a team like Vanderbilt, where you were like, I don't know, we're playing Vanderbilt at home. Like, they could lose and be out, but they won and got in, and then all the dominoes fell into place. That was exciting as a fan to me.
Sure.
So we finally get some reforms to the college football program, but in order to get those, we get this NIL system, which seems to be kind of strip mining all of the great things about college football.
Oh, it's such a sparkly thing for everybody that wanted the kids to get paid. It's such a little sparkly thing for them to all look at and go, yeah, this is great. The kids are getting paid. The kids are getting paid. Let me tell you what. No, they're not. The stars are getting paid. The top guys are getting paid.
Yes.
80% of these kids ain't getting nothing. You tell me, give me an offensive lineman somewhere at one of these schools that's getting millions of dollars to come play out of the portal. They're not. I'm telling you right now, that is a sparkly bunch of crap they're giving everybody so that everybody loves this thing. And the best part about college football that is dying now is the student athlete part of it. And let me just explain myself.
Yeah.
Being a college athlete, they absolutely should get paid. I'm not saying they shouldn't. They should.
Yeah.
They should get paid from the profits of it all. But being a college football player allowed you at a young age to set yourself up for success outside of football, which even if you go to the NFL, you're going to need. What is it, like 2 or 3% of these college football players will wind up in the NFL? And if that, it'll be for like a year or two.
Yep.
Right? This is supposed to set you up to change your life. And now you're acting as if, well, we're giving them the money earlier. No, you're giving a few kids the money earlier. And it's no different than the situation of a young kid in the NFL being handed millions of dollars, and we'll watch 30 for 30s on the fact that they're broke in 4 years because everybody's milking them and stealing it from them. We're not doing anything to help these kids at all. There need to be some regulation on this stuff. That money needs to be made sure that it's tied into things where it can't be given away and relatives can't pilfer it. And there needs to be so many things done, and the money needs to come out of the profit.
But there's such adversity towards doing any types of collectivism or regulation to it with the dissolution of the BCS and the issues with the BCS. And I'm a Vols fan. We sued the BCS. Like, you know what I mean? There's parts of that, but it's like you and I could probably sit here and come up with what seems like a semi-reasonable system that it also accounts for, sponsorships and advertisement. I mean, we both have worked in the entertainment industry. We have laws here, Coogan laws, where if you're a child star, you have to put money into a Coogan account that, percentages of the revenue. You can say that programs that meet certain benchmarks have to put away certain amounts of money in the revenue towards a collective sharing towards the players. Like, 100%. There are ways to do this. And I don't think I just don't think there's an appetite.
Nobody wants to talk about it, Dunbar. I laid out a thing, I think like 4 or 5 years ago before the NIL started, about how like this should all be a tiered system as to how much you should get, should be a certain amount of the profit to starters, to bench players, and everybody should get this. And it should be put into a managed account that these kids only have access to 10% of while they're in school, and the money collects and grows and is worked like somebody's retirement fund, and you have access to the money upon getting your degree. And if you want to leave early for the NFL, that's fine. That money will stay in that account for 15 years and continue to grow for 15 years. And you can go back and finish your degree whenever you want and get access to the money. Now we're tying the kids to finish this degree.
I love that.
Take care of your future. It's not a hard thing to do. And then you have access to all this money, and it's held away from greedy relatives and you're, you know what I'm saying? And then you get access to it and you get your degree. Now we're taking care of kids, though.
But we have a system. We have an example of a socialist set up collective system that has, in a sport, that has been unbelievably successful, arguably one of the most successful sports in the world. It's called the NFL, who do revenue sharing, have collective bargaining, have a salary cap system. All the teams share in the success of the group, of the league itself. They have a governing
money
body.
Comes from the profit of the league, not from the fans.
Yep.
I'm glad you brought that up, because that's exactly what I wanted to say toward the end of this thing. I'm glad you brought that up at the NFL. How long do the owners in the NFL and Goodell and all the big wigs in the NFL take a look at this college football system and start going, maybe we just start a GoFundMe to sign Joe Burrow? Fans will pay for it.
Oh my God.
They're already paying for the stadiums. Let's get a GoFundMe and see if everybody in Pittsburgh will pitch in 20 to 100. You see how quickly that politicians raise money at $20 a crack? They get into the billions quickly. You just raise money off the fans and pay Joe Burrow. What's to stop them from doing it?
Yeah, but it's interesting because, like, you have why not just have the fans own the teams, like in Green Bay?
Well, you know why. They're not going to let us get a piece. They let that accident happen and they can't get rid of it now because of trust and things like that.
One of the most successful franchises in football.
Wonder why. This NIL thing needs to get fixed and get fixed fast, man.
All right, everyone. Time to do me a favor and knock it off.
Buddy, we could go on for 5 hours about this. We're both passionate about it, and I'll just get more angry.
We're the Joe Rogans of the left in sports.
Listen, fix this thing and take care of the damn kids, man. I'm not going to get back going on it, but there's 85-90% of these kids ain't getting a nickel out of any of this, and they're putting just as much into every game going to be played this weekend in the college football playoff.
And their bodies and the injuries and all
every bit of it. And they get nothing because they're not a 5-star Heisman candidate. It's a trash system. It's garbage, man. Anyway, let's talk about something that's not garbage. Let's talk about the official beer choice of the DWMOD podcast. That's Old English 800. And we're going to get going early tomorrow morning with
Brass Monkey, that monkey, Brass Monkey Chunky.
Oh, that's right, baby. We'll be tailgating tomorrow with delicious Brass Monkeys. We got the Old English 800 going. Get you a splash of orange juice, put it in with the Old English 800. Skip those mimosas and all that heartburn that's coming off that champagne and all that other Bloody Marys tearing your gut up, man. Get yourself the Old English 800 splash of orange juice, Brass Monkey, baby.
See, our Old English, where we grew up, was called Le Chaffier, was called Schaefer beer. I don't know if you know what Schaefer is.
Malt liquor, probably.
Not great. And we bought it. I wonder if you had the same experience. We would get it, maybe not legally, from a guy who had a house, and we would go in to the front of his house, and he had walled it off with like glass windows, and he just had coolers, and you'd pay him like an extra $10, and he'd sell it to you. Pops,
buddy. I'm telling you, buddy, I grew up in Detroit, man. We had a store called Meyer Drugs, not the chain Meyer, the grocery store outlet Walmart deal Meyer.
Yeah.
It was this little shop a guy had down there on 6 Mile, and it was called Meyer Drugs. We'd go in there in our varsity coats and buy a case of Old English 40s and go take them to a party, man. You walk in there with your varsity coat. That was Detroit, man.
I'll do you one better. We would go in college. We would go prior to being of age. We'd buy a case each of Schaefer beer, take it back to the dorm room, play asshole for like 2 hours, get completely hammered, then go to the bar like at 11.
Yeah, man.
That was
different times. Different times, man. Different times. But the official beer choice of DWMOD. It's Old English 800. And then they're bringing us the Big 6 Picks. Now let's get to it. Dunbar. This weekend, we got the college football playoffs kicking up. I do have Andy St. Clair's picks in the house. Not making these up. Got them right here. Let's jump into the first game. You know what? Let's get on the NFL side first, and we'll finish with your Tennessee Vols so that you can give us a soliloquy, as Stephen A. would put it. Right? Because he's so smart, because he knows big words, so he's got to be the smartest guy in the room. All right, let's go. We got the Texans +3 at the Kansas City Chiefs. 41.5 is the over-under. Who do you like in this one? Playoff implications on the line for the Texans. Kansas City, Mahomes is banged up. What do you got?
Well, listen, I think that Kansas City is going to be very cautious with Mahomes. He's playing, right?
Yeah.
Is he going to play in this game?
Yep.
I saw that Hollywood Brown might be coming back for this game, but they're banged up. They don't really have a lot to play for in this game. I mean, they do, but the division I think is still at stake. But I think they really are going to probably play it pretty safe. The Texans have a top 10 defense. They're a great defense. This is going to be a defensive game. I don't think we're going to be seeing a lot of high scoring. I think the Texans have kind of come down to earth on the offensive side of the ball there. So I'm betting on the under, and I'm going to take the Texans to beat the spread. I do think it'll be a close game, but I take the Texans. I actually think the Texans are going to win this game. I think
Texans money line. Okay.
Yeah. But I'm going to take the Texans on the money line, and I'm also going to take the under. I think it's going to be a tight, low scoring game.
Okay. Well, you guys know where Andy's going to land on this, where he is every single week, and he tells you every single week the same thing, and he's been right 12 damn times out of 13 games, I think. You're going to take Kansas City laying the 3, and you're going to take the under. They're not going to blow anybody out, and they're going to win by 3 at the end of the game. And that's what they do every single week. And I'm telling you, I am doing the exact same thing because I know it pays. And I'm not as concerned with Kansas City being banged up on offense. Teams that are banged up where it's going to bother you is if you're an explosive team. If you're living and dying on explosive plays, banged up will kill you. Kansas City banged up every week, and they're just chugging along, chitty, chitty, bang, bang, and beat you by a field goal. I think they do the same thing. CJ Stroud has got the sophomore blues. Give me Kansas City -3 and the under. Now, let's jump on the Eagles at the Commanders. Eagles are -3.5 at the Commanders. 45.5 is the over-under. What are you going to do with the hook there, buddy?
Oh, I'm telling you right now, the Eagles are going to beat the spread, and I'm taking the over on this. I mean, I just don't see any other way you can do it. But I don't think this is a divisional game. Look, I'm going against my instincts on this because this is a divisional game. And I always think all divisional games can tend to be very close. Very rarely do they get out of control for one team or the other. But these teams know each other. But I just don't see, with Washington kind of coming back down to earth, a rookie QB, the Eagles are playing for home field advantage through the playoffs. They're not, they have something to play. They're up against there with your Lions in terms of are they going to, and I think they're going to, I don't think that there's any other bet to take but the Eagles to beat the spread and also beat on point and the over.
Yeah, I'm not going to disagree with you at all, and I think it's because of exactly what you just said. My Lions here, Kong fist bumping me, bang, Superman hanging by his shackles. The Lions are really, really banged up, though. Really, really banged up. I don't need to explain it to any sports fans listening to this show. You know we are in hot water right now, and the Eagles can see that, and they know they can't falter. If this were a thing where we weren't injured at all, I think they'd go into this game like, whatever, we're going to lock up the 2 seed. We ain't going to catch the Lions. But right now, I think that they're smelling blood in the water, and in their locker room, they think, hey, we can catch these guys. They're going to get beat by somebody down the stretch with those injuries. We got to win. I'm on the Eagles -3.5, and I'll take the over. And this may shock you, but Andy is on the other side here. He is going to take the Commanders. He's going to take the Commanders. He also likes the over, but he is going to be on DC with the hook. He thinks they're going to catch him. That's what he thinks. And based on what he thinks and what the guest pickers think and what I think, here's the standings so far this season before we get to the college picks. I'm in first place over the course of 15 weeks, picking 6 games a week against the spread. My numbers are 47 and 37, and I'm -1 against the spread.
Wow.
Guest pickers are in second place right now, beating Andy with the tiebreaker on the over-under. So guest pickers are 39 and 45, at plus 11. Now, plus 11. I'm going to get back to that in 1 second, Dunbar, because Andy is in third place at 39-45, and he's even against the spread on the season. That being the tiebreaker for everything is the over-unders. Now, I bring up that plus 11 because next to our college football money line dogs who have murdered this year, I think we're like 31-20. We're murdering money line dogs in college, murdering them, handing out money like it's just candy on Halloween and an endless bowl, just handing out candy. The next most lucrative bet we are giving out every week on this show is the guest pickers over under. 15 weeks of 6 games picking the over under, and you guys are plus 11. That's crazy.
Whoa, nice.
That's crazy. It was plus 15. It was plus 15 until last week. Major Rob Frost of the Army went -5. But hey, that's where we're at. Now let's jump to the college football playoffs so we can get to your beloved Tennessee Vols. Let's start with the first game. SMU, Southern Methodist, death penalty has been buried. They are back into the college football playoffs. They are +8, traveling to Penn State. 53.5 is the over-under. What do you think, buddy?
I hate this game. I hate this game. I feel like it's such a trap game. I'm going to take the over, but I'm going to take SMU to lose but beat the spread.
Yeah, okay.
And I know I feel like I'm copping out on some of these college picks, but I can't be bold on this.
No.
I think it's at Penn State. I don't know who these teams are really. Like, not saying that I don't know who they are. Like,
sure.
Like, I feel like this pocket of the rankings in terms of these teams that have made it in, like, we have yet to, because of how they have scheduled their out of conference play, it is very hard to determine how these teams are going to measure up.
It's going to be the
against
future.
Real, and it's going to be the future against real competition. And so I think SMU has a very potent offense. We could all be very surprised. And SMU runs up the score on Penn State and keeps it close and ekes out a win. But I do think SMU beats the spread. I'm going to take the over. I think it's going to be a high scoring game.
Yeah. I don't think you're making a cop out at all. I'm going to do the exact same thing. I'm going to take SMU plus 8.5. I'm definitely going to have them on a bunch of teasers, like I told you on Wednesday night. And I'm also going to be on the over. We saw this game last week. It's Oregon and Penn State. The offense for SMU is not as electric as Oregon by any means, but one of the best offenses in the country, and they will score. And we saw that Penn State struggles against that. So SMU is going to put up points. Right? Yeah. They're going to put up points. It's going to come down to if Penn State can just run it down their throat and hold the football, which I expect they'll do for a little while. But listen, give me SMU plus 8.5 and the over, and Penn State probably wins the game, right? And that's where Andy's going to be at. Andy's taking Penn State laying the points and the over. He thinks they're just going to hold the football and smash SMU. We'll see what happens.
I mean, look, Andy is not entirely wrong. Like,
that could happen.
Because if Penn State can get the ball moving, on the ground and really control the clock and play like an old style game, it's just because it's college football. It like very rarely ends up being that to some degree. There's always crazy plays that push it, especially in a bowl game, especially when the kids are all amped like that. That's what I'm going.
I mean, everybody thinks it's going to be a big deal that this is the only Southern team that's traveling north for the playoffs. Mm-hmm. These kids are coming out of Dallas to go play up, at Penn State. And here's the thing. If you got sleet and a little bit of rain, or it's real windy and snowy, you're going to have a problem. If it's 31 degrees, you're going to have a problem. If it's 44, 45 degrees and sunny, ain't going to bother him a bit. Now, you can tell me what the weather is right now, and I'll tell you, ask a weatherman what the weather is right now. It'll be different in 5 minutes. Be from the Midwest. That weather will be different in 5 minutes. I'll tell you that right now.
Man, it gets cold in Texas, though. You know what I mean?
They don't get no 30 degrees with a little rain coming down. I'll tell you, that'll end this game fast if that's going on, but we'll see. All right, let's jump to your game. I'll give you Andy's pick right out of the box
Okay.
here. Okay. We got Tennessee coming out of the SEC. They're 7.5-point dogs to Ohio State. 46.5 is the over-under at the Horseshoe. Andy is going to take Tennessee and the 7.5 and the under. He is pretty adamant that he thinks Ohio State cannot recover from the Michigan loss. They've lost faith in Ryan Day. I don't disagree with him. I'm going to be on the same thing almost. I'm going to take Tennessee and the 7.5. Listen, if this was 6.5, I'm telling you right now, I've got some Ohio State bets at 6.5. At a touchdown, I'm going to take Ohio State. But you're going to go to 7.5. I'm going to be on Tennessee at 7.5. I'm playing the number here. Give me the hook, but I'm going to take the over. I think there's going to be points in this game. What do you think?
Listen, this is what I'm going to say about my analysis of this game as a Tennessee Vols fan. I'm clearly not objective. Ryan Day came out in a press conference, I think 2 days ago, and said, what is he going to do to solve the offensive line problems against Tennessee's pass rush and the defensive line, which is arguably one of the best in college football?
Sure.
He is going to implement an interior line guard rotation with his team, a system that they have never done before to try and solve this problem. That one, notoriously offensive lines, you do not rotate players in and out.
I can't
see a rhythm thing.
That. Yeah, I can't see him doing that.
That's what he said he's going to do.
No, I'm not saying that to you. I'm saying that's got to be coach talk, right? Trying to throw him off. Who would do that?
I mean,
look, Ryan Day. He's a bad coach. Ryan Day.
He's got to be coaching for his job at this point, right? I mean, you lay a big egg at home against your biggest rival in the division, in your conference.
Oh, yeah.
James Pierce is going to be all over that line. They're going to push him inside. They're going to push him outside. Tennessee doesn't typically run stunts a lot, but they're going to try and get him free releases to get to the quarterback. I think this is going to be. I take Tennessee definitely to on the points. I think I'm going to take the over. I think it's going to be a high scoring game.
Yeah, I'm with you. Tennessee and the over. I think there's going to be points in this thing for sure. I think there's going to be points in this thing for sure. Now, I backdoored you a little bit there. I backdoored you. I moved this Tennessee game up a little bit because I didn't want you to end all frazzled. I wanted you to be able to come down a little bit and relax before you go back to your wife and kids after the show. So now we'll calmly decompress and discuss Clemson plus 12 at Texas, 51.5. What do you think on this one?
I love this game so much. I really enjoyed Clemson's role in everything college football this year and what they've done. I think this is I'm taking the under for sure. I think Clemson beats the spread. Is Texas, going to beat them? I don't know, but I really am looking at I think it's going to be a little nail biter. It might be fun to watch Texas sweat a little bit.
I think so. Yeah, with viewers. Listen, the media has pulled apart that locker room, and I feel bad for that team, and I feel bad for Sarkisian. I do. I genuinely do. Because the media has pulled that locker room apart because they can't quit talking about Manning because it generates clicks. I have no disregard for Manning. He's a good kid. They're a great family. I think they're great. I think they're great for football. Not blaming them. But the media loves it like they love putting Donald Trump on, and they know it's a terrible damn thing to do. They love it. They love it. And they've got viewers feeling like he's going to be benched any minute now, which may not even be the case. I don't like what's going on, but I just don't think Clemson's going to be able to hang with Texas down the stretch, man. I'm taking Texas, and I will be on the over in this game. I'll be on the over. Andy likes Texas as well, but he's going to be on the under. He's with you. Now, my own personal thoughts, that Clemson's only chance of winning this game is the under. So if you think it's going to be Texas and they're going to cover the spread, you got to be on the over. I don't know how, but Andy's trying to thread the needle here. He's going Texas, and he's going under.
I just think Clemson's defense is a little underrated, and I think that they're going to be able. 12 is too much for me. I think they're going to be able to. They're going to be able to keep it close.
That's a lot. It's a lot. I mean, hey, it's a lot. Who's your long shot to win this thing? Tennessee?
Long shot to win the national title?
Yeah, like don't give me Oregon or Texas or like who's your long shot to win this thing?
I mean, I think if you were to make it a long shot and it's somebody out of the top 5, I think Tennessee is probably most people's long shots if they feel most comfortable with it. It really comes down to Nico. I think, I would caution fairly, and we've had this conversation offline about how frustrating Tennessee can be as a team. They're a burgeoning program. Heupel doesn't have, they have a freshman quarterback. They lost some key members of the wide receiving core over the last couple of years. They do not have a big over-the-top reliable threat right now on the outside. Those are my concerns, but they arguably have the best defense in college football and certainly have the best front four. I would be interested to see what they can do against, like, the Ohio State wide receivers really concern me. Like, putting our guys on an island against them, that's really pretty scary because those guys are tremendous. But I do think Tennessee, just if they can put it together and they can go on a run, it's going to be really fucking fun to watch.
Yeah, Tennessee would be my second choice for a long shot to win this thing for sure. I said it last week, and I'll tell you, I'm on Notre Dame as a good long shot. They've got a decent road. If they win tonight against Indiana, then they're going to wind up probably playing Georgia without their quarterback. And you know what I mean? Like this is not the Georgia team that no one can beat. I understand the argument that Notre Dame's schedule was very weak. I do think that's a legitimate argument, but I will defend teams whose schedules are weak and they're obliterating the competition. You know what I mean? A lot of times when you say somebody's got a weak schedule, they got a couple squeakers in there that they won and got lucky. Notre Dame's been fucking hammering everybody they play. So I'm going to roll with Notre Dame. Roll with Notre Dame as a long shot.
I think it's really exciting just in terms of the college football playoffs because you're actually going to see somebody's got to win it, right? You're actually going to see these teams get tested. And these are kids. Yeah, I mean, maybe not as much as they used to be. Some of them are like 26 years old or whatever. But like, you got kids in there playing these games in a playoff system that's a protracted playoff.
Sure.
And they're going to, by the time you get to the end, you're going to have battle-tested teams going after each other as opposed to it being like, a Nebraska-Florida State game where Florida State blows them out or, like national title game where it's totally one-sided and, forged in the fire of the playoff, you're going to get two great teams. I'm very excited about what's to happen, about what kinds of stories evolve out of the 12-team playoff. I think it's going to be a massive sporting event.
I can tell you what all the money hopes. I can tell you what every single penny involved in this thing hopes. They're praying for Georgia, Oregon, because that's where the whole thing is moving, is SEC versus the Big Ten. The big money people right now that are involved in college football are going, please give us Oregon, Georgia, because then we're going to pilfer the rest of the ACC and the Big 12. We're going to go, if you guys ain't with us, you ain't going to win it. And then it's going to that's going to be it.
And then it's just going to be basically the SEC versus the Big Ten, like the AFC,
and another thing I've been saying for years, and I'm going to continue to keep saying it is going to get where I called it 5-6 years ago. It is going to be the college Super Bowl. SEC is going to acquire everybody. Big Ten's going to acquire everybody, and they're going to have their own playoff. The SEC will have a playoff like the AFC would. They'll have 7 teams get in. That Big Ten will have 7 teams get in like the NFC and have a playoff. The winner of those playoffs will face each other in the college Super Bowl, and all the other teams that are left in those conferences, your Georgia Techs of the world, your Washington States, your all those other really good Division I programs will play for the national title. They'll have a Division I national title, FBS and FCS, and you'll have the college world, the Super Bowl. That's what's going to happen.
I just feel like that would be such a shame because the way it's set up right now, you have all this interconference play happening in the 12 team and it's fun. It's fun. It's exciting.
Yeah.
Like, you have ACC teams going against SEC teams. It's like, feels like what I imagine an all-star game must have felt like, 50 years ago, right?
Sure,
where you finally see, Mean Joe Green lining up against Johnny Unitas or whatever it was. They probably didn't play at the same time. But
I kind of hope it goes the other way, just because right now Pandora's box is open and you ain't going back. So for me, I'm always about the kids, man. I'm always about the kids. And for me, I kind of hope it does go to that college Super Bowl thing, because if you're a kid on any of these other teams right now, you're playing for nothing every single year. You're playing for nothing.
Yeah, but how's that different than them not having a playoff?
No. I'm not saying not having a playoff.
Yeah.
I'm saying the SEC goes out and acquires Clemson and Florida State and Miami, and then the rest of the ACC teams just live in the ACC. And the Big Ten goes out and gets Notre Dame and Oklahoma State. And I'm just saying teams from the Big 12 that maybe are good enough to be involved in this thing. And then the rest of the Big 12 teams just stay alive over there. Your Kansas, K-State. And then those teams now will be playing for the FBS national title every year and have something to play for. And the big teams will play for the Super Bowl,
Yeah, but that feels like the NIT versus the NCAA.
It does,
man.
I mean,
nobody pays attention to the NIT.
There's no going back, man.
I think it's fun to have every year you have I wouldn't want them to change the playoff structure from what it is right now. I really like it. I really fully endorse it. I think that it's fun where these a team like SMU is in the mix and Indiana's in the mix, even though I think Indiana
we're going to see
deserve to be in the mix, but we'll see.
We're going to see. There needs to be some tweaks, but we could go all night on this thing. Hey guys, that's the Big 6 picks. The picks are in. We've got a couple weeks to go before we're going to crown a champion. I think I know who it might be at this point. A certain dude is ahead by quite a bit, but I don't know. But hey, listen, for everybody new over here on Cut and Loose platform, man, every Wednesday night we're handing out free NCAA picks and NFL picks. We're putting money in your pocket. We're here on Fridays with the Big 6 picks. We got sports and comedy and all kinds of stuff going on. Then we have a guest picker with the 6 picks. Moving into the new year, DWMOD picked up by Cut and Loose. We're going to be heading over there and doing more things than just sports. We're going to be doing a food review show around Atlanta. We're going to be doing all kind of cool stuff here at DWMOD, man. It's getting ready to kick off. I got to give it up to the new sponsor, the new guys that picked us up. Loose. Check us out over there. I'll post it all over the social media. At Dunbar, I appreciate you every single time, man. We'll see you.
I love it.
Touchdown. College football is now B1G versus SEC.
Down. If you ain't listening to All Right Bet with me and Andy St. Clair, you're throwing away money.
Ready?
All Lions fans drinking that Kool-Aid. Super Bowl. Hey, disagree with me or don't. That's how it works. Boom.
We didn't talk about Giants Falcons.
Oh man, we didn't. We didn't talk about Giants Falcons. Well, then we better do that right now. Wait a minute
really?
now. Wait a minute. We forgot Giants Falcons. Oh man, let's get to it. Let's get to it real quick now. We got the New York Giants +8 at the Falcons. 40.5 is the over under. This is what we'll call the overtime here. Good Lord. What do you think? Who you like in this one, buddy? You think it's a snoozer, huh?
I think I'm going to take fuck it. I'm going to take the Giants. I'm going to take the over.
Okay. Giants.
That's a bad bet. That's a bad bet. Don't do that. I'm going to take the Giants, but I'm going to take the under.
Oh, you're going to hit the under. Giants and the under. All right. Well, I will tell you that Andy likes the under, and he's going to be on the Falcons. I also like the under here just because Michael Penix is now going to start. Kirk Cousins is out. Give me the Falcons to unlock this week and go win the South. I think they catch Tampa Bay and win the division with Michael Penix.
The Michael Penix era begins.
The Michael Penix era begins. And God bless you for reminding me about this, guys. We'll see you next time.